The night Adrian Moretti decided to install cameras in his own house was the night he realized power couldn't protect the one person he loved most. Adrian was a man feared by many. In the city's quiet whispers, people called him a mafia boss, a shadow that controlled businesses, deals, and men who would do anything for him. But inside the walls of his massive mansion, he was simply a father. And lately, a helpless one. His 8-year-old daughter, Sophia, had been sick for months. Doctors couldn't give clear answers. Some days she was cheerful, drawing pictures and laughing. Other days she was too weak to leave her bed. Adrian had money, influence, connections with the best hospitals in the country. But none of it could guarantee Sophia's recovery. What worried him even more was that he couldn't always be home. The kind of work Adrian did required constant attention. Deals had to be managed. Problems had to be handled. And enemies never slept. So when Sophia's former nanny quit unexpectedly, Adrian hired someone new. Her name was Elena. She was quiet, polite, and seemed almost too ordinary for a house like his. No fancy background, no impressive references, just a woman in her late 20s who needed work. Adrian didn't fully trust her. Not because she seemed suspicious, but because Adrian trusted almost no one. So he installed cameras. Tiny ones hidden in the living room, kitchen, hallway, and Sophia's playroom. He told himself it was for security. To make sure his daughter was safe. But deep down, he was testing Elena. For the first few days, nothing unusual happened. From his office downtown, Adrian would occasionally check the camera feed on his phone. Elena cleaned the house, cooked meals, helped Sophia with homework. Everything seemed normal. Too normal. Then one afternoon, something caught his attention. Sophia was having a bad day. The little girl sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket, her face pale, eyes dull with exhaustion. Her medicine bottle sat untouched on the table. Adrian watched the screen carefully. Elena entered the room carrying a bowl of soup. Sophia shook her head weakly. "I don't want it," she whispered. Most nannies would insist. Some would get frustrated. But Elena did something unexpected. She set the soup aside and sat down next to Sophia. For a moment, she didn't speak. She simply took the girl's small hand. Then she said softly, "You know what my grandmother used to tell me when I was sick?" Sophia looked up. "What?" She said, "Our bodies are like little warriors. Sometimes they get tired, but they never stop fighting." Sophia blinked slowly. Elena continued, smiling gently. "And soup? Well, that's like armor for the warriors." Sophia stared at the bowl again. After a moment, she sighed. "Okay, but only a little." Adrian leaned back in his chair, surprised. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't extraordinary. But it was real. Over the next few weeks, Adrian found himself checking the cameras more often. Not because he distrusted Elena anymore. But because he was curious. He watched her read stories to Sophia in silly voices. He watched her braid Sophia's hair every morning. He watched her turn ordinary moments into something warm and comforting. And slowly, something inside Adrian began to shift. One evening, he saw something that stopped him cold. Sophia had fallen asleep on the couch. Elena sat beside her, gently brushing hair from the girl's forehead. Then she whispered something. Adrian turned up the volume. "Please get better, little angel," Elena murmured quietly. "You deserve a long, beautiful life." Her voice trembled slightly. And then Adrian noticed something else. Elena wiped away tears. No one else was in the room. No performance. No audience. Just genuine emotion. For the first time in years, Adrian felt something strange in his chest. Respect. But the moment that changed everything came a few days later. Adrian had returned home unexpectedly early. He walked quietly through the hallway. From the living room, he heard Sophia coughing badly. Adrian froze. Through the doorway, he saw Elena kneeling beside Sophia, who looked weak and frightened. "Shish," Elena whispered gently. She wrapped the girl in her arms and rocked her slowly. "I'm here." Sophia clung to her like a lifeline. "I feel scared," the girl said weakly. Elena kissed the top of her head. "I know, sweetheart." Then she added softly, "But you're not alone." Adrian stepped closer, unnoticed. Elena was humming a lullaby. Not from a phone. Not from memory for show. But something deeply familiar to her. After a few minutes, Sophia relaxed and fell asleep in Elena's arms. Elena didn't move. She stayed there, sitting on the floor, holding the sleeping girl. 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. Adrian watched quietly. She never complained, never checked her phone, never tried to put Sophia down just to rest herself. She simply held her, like a mother would. Something inside Adrian broke. For years he had built walls around himself, walls made of power, fear, and control. But in that moment, watching a woman who owed him nothing care for his daughter like that, those walls cracked. The next morning, Adrian called his security team. "Remove the cameras," he said. The guard sounded surprised. "All of them, sir." Adrian looked toward the kitchen where Elena was helping Sophia eat breakfast. "Yes," he said quietly. "I trust her." Weeks passed. Sophia slowly began improving. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. And Elena remained exactly the same, kind, patient, and gentle. One evening, Adrian invited her to sit in the garden after Sophia went to sleep. Elena looked nervous. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked. Adrian shook his head. "No." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Adrian said something he had never admitted to anyone. "I installed cameras when you first came here." Elena's eyes widened slightly. "I wanted to see if I could trust you." She looked hurt, but she stayed silent. Adrian continued. "I saw everything." He paused. "The way you care for Sophia. The way you talked to her. The way you prayed for her when you thought no one was listening." Elena looked down. "I just love children," she said quietly. Adrian studied her face. "You didn't know I was watching." "No. And you still treated her like she was your own." Elena nodded. "She deserves that." Adrian took a deep breath. The words felt unfamiliar leaving his mouth. "I've spent my whole life surrounded by people who want something from me. Money, power, protection. But you," he hesitated. "You never asked for anything." Elena looked confused. "I'm just doing my job." Adrian shook his head slowly. "No, you're doing something much bigger than that." He reached into his pocket. Elena's heart skipped. But instead of pulling out something threatening or formal, Adrian revealed a small velvet box. Elena gasped. "Mr. Moretti, what are you?" He opened the box. Inside was a simple but beautiful ring. "I know this is unexpected," Adrian said quietly. "And I know my life isn't easy. But when I saw how you loved my daughter, without reason, without reward." His voice softened. "I realized that kind of heart is the rarest thing in the world." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not asking you because I'm lonely," Adrian continued. "I'm asking because Sophia deserves someone like you in her life forever." He met her gaze. "And maybe, I do too." The garden fell silent. The wind rustled softly through the trees. Elena covered her mouth, overwhelmed. "You barely know me," she whispered. Adrian smiled gently. "I know enough." He held out the ring. "So, will you marry me?" Elena looked toward the house, where Sophia slept peacefully and sighed. Then she looked back at Adrian. Through her tears, she smiled. And for the first time in many years, the feared Mafia boss felt something stronger than power, hope.